Hi Booktube, I'm here today to do a tag video, one of those quick rapid fire question tags, and we'll see how rapid I am with them because of course some of these, prompt thoughts. And I saw this on a new to me channel, Robert G, reader of books, and I also saw Steve Donahue do this tag as well. And he as well was talking about how it wasn't so rapid fire because I know for sure it wasn't like a 5-minute video. We'll see how I do with it. So the first question, and there's let's see, there's 25 questions in total. So the first one is ebook or physical book, and now I'd have to say ebook almost all the time. Although I have many books, if I was given the same book with the two with the two formats available to me, I'll always pick ebook because I don't have to worry about like this dodgy lighting like my videos are often filmed in, because the window that's right here, I have 2 gigantic windows here, but there's a bunch of pine trees, so it blocks the light, and then I have windows over here, but there's no way for me to have the light face me in a good way, so I'm always using like whatever lamps and stuff I have around. So anyway, all that to say, same with like me filming videos, the same thing with reading a book. If I want to read a physical book, I have to sit in a specific place during a specific time of day if I want natural light, which is my preferred way of reading physical books. And again, like when it comes to like the fall and the winter here in the Pacific Northwest, it's often, if it's not raining, it for sure is gray and cloudy and overcast. So yeah. I just don't like, I don't like being tied to using lamps. I don't know what I would do, like use a headlamp? I don't know. But all this thing, I of course will read physical books, but again, yeah, this is rapid fire tag, yes. So ebook. Number 2, paperback or hardback. I like hardbacks as a way of keeping like the older books. I just got a book a month ago that it's like I didn't realize when I picked it up that the back little slot of pages, like the last like 5 or 10 pages, are really like falling out. So I do like the weight of a paperback, but I like the longevity of a hardback. So I don't think I'm really good at these rapid fire tags, but I'll say hardback. Number 3, online or in-store book shopping. For sure, in-store book shopping all the time. The only time that I do any online book shopping really is my local bookstore, my book chain here is Powell's, and you can order books and either have them shipped to your house or shipped into the store. And so often, well, not that often, I don't do online shopping hardly at all, but for example, if I see a book mentioned here on BookTube, I can like add it to my cart on Powell's whenever that mood strikes me, like once or twice a year maybe. And so then, because often I'll just like write those in on my list when I go to the store, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so if I do that, then I can go into the store and pick them up myself, and so I can see the condition of the books when I'm there. And if I don't like the condition, I'm at the counter, I haven't purchased these yet, I can just hand them back over, to the cashier, and then just bring home the books I want. Because the risk for me, I've noticed with online book shopping, in the past when I've done that, you just never know the condition. The sellers lie all the time. Like I remember one time I specifically was looking for a book that was not a library edition, and it's literally the description said this is not a ex-library copy, and it was. It was exactly countering what they specifically highlighted, that it wasn't an ex-library copy, and it was like stamps all over with like the discard. So yeah, in store all the time, just because I want to know the condition. Because even a brand new book, I've gotten a few books from Amazon that are new books, and they've been dinged up on the covers, or bent a little bit, because they're just like, I feel like thrown in a box, and it's often not a tight box, so they're just like banging around in there as they're being shipped to me. And so when it comes to me, it's no longer in new condition at all. So let's see. Number 4, trilogies or series. I would go with trilogies because as I've seen other people talk about how series can be massive, and I feel like that's not needed. I can get on with a long running series. I've read multiple of them, way past a trilogy, but I prefer a trilogy, more concise. And then you can move on and, with other ideas, different authors, like I'm telling them what to do. Okay. Number 5 is heroes or villains. Heroes all the way. I've never been on the side of villains, even as a little kid. I've always been someone who likes the heroes. Number 6, a book you want everyone to read. And I saw this question, I was like, I can't think of anything, because everyone has their own preference. And so I can't think of any one book that was going to fit every single person. I would just like maybe try a classic. Everyone should, have some grounding in a classic. But even me saying that feels wrong. Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice, maybe that one. But that's just because it's one of my favorite classics. So yeah, I don't think no, not applicable is my answer. Number 7, recommend an underrated book. So I looked through my Goodreads of the books I read this last year, and for one that had the lowest amount of ratings, not the lowest star rating, but the lowest number of ratings. And so that was Book of the Bone, Essays on America by a daughter of the working class by Sarah Smarsh. And I really like this author. I've read, I think, all of her books. She had a biography of Dolly Parton, and she had an older book of essays. And so let's see if I can show this. So yeah, this is one of her newest book. And I think she's another one she's working on right now. But yeah, I really liked the way she talks about living in like the heartland of America. She grew up in Kansas and then moved away and came back and has been living there ever since. And so like the heartland area. And so yeah, I really like her writing and thoughts on things. Okay, so then number 9 is the last book you finished, and that was To the Woods, Sinking Roots, Living Lightly and Finding True Home by Evelyn Searle Hess. And this is about a woman who she's in her, I think, 50s at the time, and has her and her husband both have very steady paying jobs, and she's always had a hankering for wanting to start her own nursery garden. And so they buy this plot of land for, I think, 20 or 21 acres out in the outskirts of town. And so like they want to get that started, and while they're still able to do that as they're getting older, and something happens where they had a shed there, like a converted trailer that was a shed for storing their equipment. And so randomly they decide to move there, and instead of like building a house or getting a newer trailer or something, they end up living in this shed slash trailer for 15 years. 15 years from when she's like in her 50s all the way through her mid 60s. I mean, she talks about how because this is in Oregon, and on the wetter side of Oregon, how the grass and the different parts that the trailer is touching is making it rot and mildew, and there's holes all over the place, or like the seams, like the corners are like peeling apart. So she's shoving like newspaper and blue jeans and random things to keep these holes. And I'm like, oh my goodness, she's stressing me out. This is supposed to be like a calming nature book, but I can't imagine being in your 60s, late 60s, living like that. And so it's so crazy. And also it's like her husband, 2 dogs, and a couple cats that are like roaming in and out of the place. And this tiny little shed. I would lose my mind. But it was so bad, even for her, that in the summer, when you get no rain at all here, they're camping in a tent on this land. Just because they cared that much. All that to say, this is all about her caring that much about living on the land and watching the seasons pass and things like that. So it was a very interesting read. Let's see. Then number 9 is the last book you purchased. So that would be One Man's Meat by E.B. White. I read his essay collection a couple years ago, and so I saw this book and wanted to pick this up. And I think, yeah, this is other essays, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because E.B. White's famous for Charlotte's Web and The Trump and the Swan and things like that. But I really like his the collected essays, and so I think this is some of these essays I'm sure were in that other book I have, but I wanted as much as I can find of his work. And so yeah, he's more than a children's writer for sure. Let's see. Then Number 10, weirdest thing you've used as a bookmark. And I've thought about this, and I can't think of anything outside of like a receipt or a bookmark or don't tell anyone, like folding the page over in the corner. I've done that. Many years I did that. It wasn't until really that I heard how horrifying it was for people here on BookTube that I was like, oh, rethinking that method where I started using bookmarks. Like literally that's what happened. Like before that I always just folded the page over because I didn't always have a bookmark at hand. But now I have a little cup of bookmarks up on the shelf here. So I make sure I have a whole collection now. So yeah, I can't think of anything. I've found things in bookmark. I mean, things in books. I'm like, old photographs. I found cash in books. I found like earrings or random things in like used books, but never something I myself have used. Let's see, number 11, used books, yes or no? Yes, all the way. Like almost like 99.9% of the books I own are used books. Number 12 is top 3 favorite genres. Does nonfiction count? That's my first question. Can I counter back and ask that? Because nonfiction for sure is one of, if I can't break down nonfiction into its categories, I would have to say at least not, nonfiction itself is its own thing that I would want to say. Well, yeah, never mind. I'm just going to break it down like that. I'm going to break it down to nonfiction as well. So I would say history, nature, and for a fiction, middle grade is probably what I would go with. Number 13, borrow or buy. And for this, for borrowing like ebooks, I borrow every single ebook that I read through my Libby app. And so I borrow more books than I buy, so I'm going to go with borrow. But I don't physically go into a library and pick up books. I like how with the Libby app, I can renew them or return them without having to leave my house. So even though the library isn't too far away from me, I like that convenience. Number 14 is character or plot. 15, long or short books. Can I go with medium? I would say short books. 16, long or short chapters. Long chapters. 17, name the first 3 books you think of. Okay, so I'm just going to say the books I have right in front of me. So I have One Man's Meat and To the Woods. And then I have a book that my little mini tripod here is resting on, just to keep it level, is Secret Missions of the Civil War. So there you go. Number 18 is books that make you laugh or cry. I couldn't really think of anything off the top of my head. There were only 2 books that ever made me cry. And that wasn't the books themselves. I picked, when my previous dog and my previous cat, when they died, I purposely picked a book about a cat and a book about a dog, just to help me like through the grieving process in a way of like seeing, like they were both memoirs. So it was like seeing another person, go through, owning the pet and having them go through the illness. And then the afterlife of that, after the afterlife of the owner is what I'm saying. And so those books had me crying, but it wasn't the books themselves really. It was what I myself was going through. So yeah, I can't think of the name of this. But I remember I personally picked up a cat and a dog book, but I can't remember the title. And then books for laughing, like I don't really like burst out laughing, but nothing really came to mind. I can't think of anything. I guess when I'm reading, I'm not like overly emotional when I'm reading. Same with like movies. I know some people can like cry and things with movies, but I never do that. Number 19, our world or fictional worlds. Our world for sure. Number 20, audiobooks, yes or no? Yes. I mainly I try and listen to like one audiobook every 2 weeks or so. I don't put a stress on that just because I'm not much of an auditory learner. Like I've noticed like through the years, like I retain so much more information if I read it with my eyeballs than if I'm listening to it. But depending on the type of book, I can get on with audiobooks. If it's like a nonfiction book, like a memoir, an autobiography, things like that, or if like the book is in first person, I can get on with those more and follow along more than if there's like a whole cast of characters and each chapter is a different character. I have a hard time following along with that as an audiobook. Number 21, do you ever judge a book by its cover? Yes, but I don't let that deter me from reading it. For example, the book I'm currently reading right now, since I have it right on at hand, I did not like this cover at all. I don't know. It's very much, it reminds me, the only part I do like about this is that it reminds me of like the farmer, I don't know the artist's name, but it's the one where it's like this kind of grumpy looking farmer and the farmer's wife with the pitchfork, like that famous painting. That's the only part that I like about this picture. But it's like a yellowy back and yeah. So, but this didn't deter me from picking it up. Like I'm almost finished with it and I flew right through it. So, yes, I do judge books by their covers, but if there's a couple covers on a shelf that I can pick from, I'm going to pick the prettiest one. But I won't let this stop me from picking them up. Number 22, book to movie or book to TV adaptation. Book to movie. Same as like with the series versus trilogies, I like things like short and concise. Because I feel like same with the series and like these long adaptations, they can stretch it out and there's too much filler, I think, in there. Number 23, a movie or TV adaptation you preferred more than the book. And for whatever reason, the first thing that came to mind is a book I read 20 years ago, The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. And I remember the book was awful, I thought, but the movie was much better. So that was the first book that came to mind, although I haven't read Nicholas Sparks in probably 20 years. So yeah, that's just what came to mind. Number 24, series or standalones. And then 25 is to tag others. And so I'm going to look at my recent comments to see if there's any booktubers that have recently commented on my videos, and I'll be sure and tag them. But anyway, thanks for sitting here and listening to my rambly rapid fire tag. Let's see, it's 17 minutes now, so for sure not the 5 minutes I knew it wouldn't be. But I love these kind of questions, and I'm curious what your answers would be. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.